from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, INEC Chairman Joash Amukwiton says the Commission is taking steps to strengthen its operations in preparation for the 2027 general elections. A day after impeachment notice was served on Governor Siminalayi Fubara, security presence has been heightened across Port Harcourt, the River State capital. Vice President Kashim Shettima assures that the federal government remains committed to empowering the military to effectively tackle security challenges across the country. And more anti-government protests erupt in Iran, with rights groups claiming that at least 48 demonstrators have been killed. On sports news tonight, Senegal's Teranga Lions become the first team to reach the semi-final of the ongoing 2025 Africa Cup of Nations after a 1-0 victory over Mali in Tangier.
On business news, the federal government launches Nigeria House Davos to highlight national reforms and attract global investments at the 2026 World Economic Forum.
And from Abuja, the Nigeria Bar Association urges the police and the FCT minister to urgently address incidents of one-chance robberies following the deaths of 2 women just days apart.
Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Joash Amukwiton, says INEC will strengthen its operations to ensure that the 2027 general elections becomes a reference point in the history of polls in Nigeria. The INEC boss made the declaration while delivering his opening address at the Commission's 2026 induction and strategic retreat organized for its leadership and senior officials in Lagos. He adds that the electoral umpire is poised to conduct free, fair and credible elections that will be a reference point in Africa.
The retreat is attended by commissioners, resident electoral commissioners, as well as administrative secretaries, directors and top management staff across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. It is the first get-together between the INEC chair and top brass of the nation's electoral body as the Commission sets sights on the 2027 general elections, as well as the other off-cycle elections. The nation's electoral body seizes the opportunity of this gathering to brainstorm and strategize towards all elections, including the council poll in the FCT, as well as governorship elections in Osun and Ekiti states. First to address the gathering is the resident electoral commissioner for Lagos State, Professor Ayobami Salami.
Together, we should continue to build an electoral system that inspires confidence and oppose the democratic aspirations of our nation. Once again, you are welcome to Lagos State.
INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amukwiton seizes the occasion to remind resident electoral commissioners that the task of delivering on the Commission's mandate is non-negotiable.
This retreat therefore serves as a bridge between our institutional experience and the innovative demands of a rapidly evolving electoral landscape. It provides us with a rare opportunity, indeed, to share knowledge, synchronize our strategies, and fortify the leadership echelon of the Commission as we prepared for the general election in 2027.
He also adds that INEC under his watch has perfected plans to overcome some challenges that have confronted the election supervising agency in the country over the years.
We have a golden opportunity to rewrite the history of election in Nigeria. Our goal is clear. 2027 general election must be free and fair, and the watershed moment in Nigerian election history. But we must aim at even something higher. I want us to build an institution that is recognized globally.
Some of the resident electoral commissioners expressed optimism on INEC's ability to deliver on its mandate.
This retreat will not just enable me know the things I don't know. It will confirm the ones I know. It's very welcoming something.
I'm sure that with this kind of discussion and other trainings that will go on, then we'll have the election will continue to improve.
There is a consensus here that proactive steps must be taken at all times going forward on the delivery of credible elections, especially on the staggered polls in Ekiti and Osun states, as well as the FCT, in order to assure the electorate of a credible poll come 2027.
Former Governor of Niger State, Ayodele Fayose, says the political battle in Rivers State and subsequent initiation of impeachment proceedings against Governor Siminalayi Fubara stems from the governor's seemingly ungratefulness to the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, who he says helped him become governor of the state. Now, Mr. Fayose also says President Bola Tinubu would understand Mr. Wike's perspective and calls on the Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara to humble himself in order to bring peace to the state's political landscape. Mr. Fayose was a guest on our political program, Politics Today.
A body called the House of Assembly. Fubara, the governor of Rivers State, has not won one person out of the 26 or 27 of them, which shows they are united. And in a situation like that, having come back from the suspension, a wise governor is supposed to retreat, manage the situation. You can't have your life and investment or a support for someone and tell me that I should die a political death. In the first place, some are saying the president should remove Wike. They are jokers. The president is not like you. It's not like those making such assertions. The president hates ingratitude. For somebody to help you, whichever way, to get to become the governor of Rivers State or governor of Ekiti ordinarily, I think we are indebted to such people. Let us remember yesterday to be able to shape in tomorrow. Ingratitude and being ungrateful will create so much a headache for anyone into it. The governor should climb down from his high horse and remember that yesterday somebody stood up for me. I rode on somebody's shoulder. Let him climb down on his horse. Nobody would tolerate that. Would you say we could go and sleep at home? Don't do politics again? Who does that?
24 hours after moves to impeach Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy by the Rivers State Assembly, there are now reports of heightened security presence in most parts of Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. Although the State Police Command is yet to speak on the heavy deployment of police officers, there is visible tension around town. Earlier today, the leadership of the Joy Youth Council demanded that the president must remove the FCT minister from office, alleging that he is the mastermind behind the fresh round of political unrest in the state.
The IYC Joy Youth Council condemned in its totality the unwarranted impeachment proceeding initiated against the people governor of Rivers State, the person of Sir Siminalayi Fubara. We call for the immediate sack of the FCT minister. The person of Barrister Nyesom Wike, as it has shown that he is not a true Democrat, but an enemy to democracy and good governance. IYC have also wished to regard and respect your Renew Hope agenda and can't allow a single individual to destroy the good democratic legacies your administration have displayed in the past 3 years of your administration. The IYC and the entire your ethnic nationality is behind your re-election bid for 2027 and that of Siminalayi Fubara for his second term as governor of Rivers State.
Away from River State politics, although the general elections are slated for next year, the African Democratic Congress has begun the process to review its constitution ahead of party primaries for the polls come 2027. National chairman of the party, Senator David Mark, who inaugurated the committee in Abuja, says the formal inauguration of the party's 22-member Constitution Review Committee is to represent all interests within the party while strengthening existing principles. The committee, led by Mr. Itigwe Uwa, is supported by several other party stalwarts, including Emeka Ihedioha, Einaya Abaribe, Ralph Umosu, Professor Mohammed Bello, amongst others.
It is necessary and timely to review our Constitution to ensure that it reflects present realities, that it anticipates future challenges, and that it aligns with global best practices in democratic party administration. This exercise is not about changing principles. It is about strengthening the existing principles. It is about ensuring clarity, ensuring fairness, inclusiveness, and accountability in our structures and processes. It is about creating a framework that empowers our members, promotes unity, resolves disputes fairly, and positions the ADC as a credible alternative for national leadership. And it prepares us also to take over when we win in 2027. Members of this committee have been carefully selected and chosen based on your experience, on your integrity, and on your commitment to the ideals of our great party. You carry a great responsibility. I urge you to approach this assignment with open minds, very broad consultations, and an unwavering commitment to the collective interests of our great party.
Well, it's not only the ADC that's looking ahead to the 2027 elections. The All Progressives Congress, APC, in Enugu State is also getting itself prepared as it commenced the e-registration of its members with plans to build a 2 million member base. While speaking during the flag-off of the APC e-registration at Owo in Kano East Local Government of Enugu State, Governor Peter Mba, who is the leader of the party, stated that the exercise is a defining moment to concretize his movement from the PDP to the APC.
It's the flag-off of the APC e-registration in Enugu State, and the governor's homestead in Nkanu East local government area plays host to the leadership and members of the party as they begin the process ahead of the general election in 2027. Chairman of the APC in Enugu State, Ben Muyi, says the party has already trained staff for a seamless registration exercise.
Your Excellency, Enugu State took first in taking the step to train all the registration officers across the 17 local governments, the supervisors. Enugu State also took first in training all the registration agents in the 260 wards.
Deputy National Chairman South of the APC, Ima Enoku, commends the state government's efforts in building up the party.
Your Excellency, it may be important to explain what is e-registration. The party had been doing registration, and because everything, just like that smart school, that smart everything in Enugu State, the party is trying to copy you in being smart and also in the registration.
After completing the registration process, Governor Peter Mba calls for an end to fragmented politics and a deeper connection to the center, which is supreme.
The Renewed Hope World Development Program is the answer.
He also promises to deploy all skills to ensure a solid membership base of at least 2 million persons ahead of the elections next year.
We're going to have a target of at least registering a minimum of 2 million persons here in Enugu. And we can do that. Because when we had this grand movement, the grand movement was not about Peter Mba. It wasn't about the state government. It wasn't about just a particular arm of government. It was total. We had everybody moving with us.
It's the first time the state is holding an e-registration in the party, and members are hopeful that such a move will solidify the APC and help it retain power come 2027.
In part two, after the break, Vice President Kashim Shettima assures that the federal government remains committed to empowering the military to effectively tackle security challenges across the country. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television, Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. INEC Chairman Josh Amokwiton says the Commission is taking steps to strengthen its operations in preparation for the 2027 general elections. A day after impeachment notice was served on Governor Simonalayi Fubara, security presence has been heightened across Port Harcourt, the River State capital. Vice President Kashim Shettima assures that the federal government remains committed to empowering the military to effectively tackle security challenges across the country. And more anti-government protests erupt in Iran, with rights groups claiming that at least 48 demonstrators have been killed. The People's Democratic Party isn't left out either in its preparations for 2027. Interestingly, the PDP National Secretary, Senator Sam Anyanwu, has expressed confidence that the African Democratic Congress will not win any elected position in the country in the forthcoming general elections next year. While speaking at the party's New Year stakeholders engagement held at the PDP Secretariat in Owerri, the Imo State capital, Mr. Anyanwu states that the PDP is not in any coalition or partnership with the ADC. Our correspondent, Igitope Kute, tells us more.
A lot of persons.
Supporters of the People's Democratic Party in Imo State gather at the party secretariat in Owerri for the party's New Year stakeholders meeting convened by the National Secretary Samuel Anyanwu. The event is part of efforts to reassure members that the party is unshaken by the wave of defections and its structure remains solid across all wards in Imo State. Nevertheless, State Chairman of the PDP, Austin Nwachukwu, cautions members against engaging in anti-party activities which attract strict disciplinary measures.
In the last few days, I saw something like a makeshift attempt to derail the minds of some of our members across the state. We saw people who gathered together to say they are endorsing other party people. I want to reiterate here today, I don't hit and miss my target. If you are found endorsing other party members other than PDP people, we shall have no hesitation but to invoke our constitutional powers and deal with those people decisively.
Meanwhile, the National Secretary Samuel Anyanwu denies reports suggesting that he plans to leave the PDP. He also dismisses the idea that the ADC is a strong opposition, insisting that the PDP remains the only viable and formidable opposition party capable of challenging the ruling All Progressives Congress.
They will come to you. Oh, PDP said, come to ADC. Let me tell you, mark my word, ADC will never get any position in Nigeria. Mark my word today, because you are not there. They may get something because they have a president, but here in Imo State, APC will go nowhere.
As part of activities marking the New Year stakeholders meeting, the party distributes food items to members across the 27 local government areas of Imo State. The stakeholders meeting underscored the PDP's renewed commitment to unity, discipline, and grassroots mobilization as it prepares for future elections. Channels Television News.
Vice President Kashim Shettima has reaffirmed the commitment of President Bola Tinubu's administration to empowering the Nigerian armed forces to tackle challenges of insecurity in the country. The Vice President gave the assurance at a special Jumat prayer to mark the 2026 Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day at the National Mosque, Abuja. He acknowledged the sacrifices of the fallen soldiers who paid the supreme price to safeguard Nigeria's territorial integrity, as well as the lives and property of citizens. Vice President Shettima expressed optimism that under the dynamic and purposeful leadership of President Bola Tinubu, Nigeria will witness enduring peace and prosperity in the coming days.
The race of INEC officers and men their purpose, the fortitude to bear the responses, and we pray Almighty Allah to empower to subdue the crises that are many in our nation, and inshallah in the fullness of time we shall have my superior.
So let's head to the nation's capital now, and Victoria Longjohn is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Victoria.
Hello, Ayo. The FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, and the FCT Police Command must review their strategies and address security concerns in the nation's capital. That's coming from the chairman of the FCT chapter of the Nigeria Bar Association, Mr. Okechukwu Emelieze, who raised an alarm over the resurfacing of criminals who lure passengers into commercial vehicles to commit crime in an operation popularly known as One Chance. Mr. Emelieze made this known during a media briefing in Abuja. Our correspondent Emanuela Ekele reports.
Lawyers from the Abuja chapter of the Nigerian Bar Association are mourning the death of one of their own, Miss Mediatrix Chigbo. Ms. Chigbo, a former treasurer of the Abuja Bar, was killed by suspected criminals who lure unsuspecting passengers into commercial vehicles to rob, assault, or kidnap them in an operation popularly known as One Chance. Her lifeless body was recovered on January 7, 2026, a day after she left her house for work along the Kubwa Expressway.
Yes, I have. Mr. Remy has sent it to me.
Cases of One Chance robbery is a notorious crime in the nation's capital, and these lawyers are taking a walk to the FCT police to call for action to address the situation.
What are we asking for?
We are not going to teach them how to do their job. It is their job to protect lives and properties. And we think that if they do it better, at least we can reduce it to the barest minimum.
We believe that if the FCT minister decides, all that needs to happen is for that decision to happen. If he decides and wills it, we believe that he will apply the same seriousness with which he tackles other things. We've seen the improvements in the state of roads in the FCT. Can we not have an improvement in security in the FCT?
On the same day that the body of Ms. Chigbo was discovered, another body was recovered in another location of the nation's capital. The body is that of a nurse with the Federal Medical Center, Jabi, Ms. Chinemeriam Chukwumeziam. A former chairman of the FCT chapter of the NBA wonders why the security agencies can't trace these perpetrators.
They use a POS to be drawing money from it. That is basic. That is so pedestrian. And I don't know. The money must have gone to an account. So why are the people not apprehended? Who is the owner of that account? Who subscribed for that POS? Those are basic things that could be traced easily. For the money, even if the money had been taken from that account, where was it transferred to? Banks are involved. These are transactions that could be easily traced.
The delegation is received at the headquarters of the FCT Police Command by the Police Commissioner, who pledges to ensure that justice is served.
Painful as it is, we have decided to re-strategize, and we will continue to do our best to ensure that we send them completely out of FCT. We have, on these two cases and many other ones that have been reported, launched very serious investigations headed by the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of Criminal Investigation Department.
The FCT Police Commissioner further calls on residents to remain security conscious and vigilant, especially when boarding commercial vehicles.
And medical services in Edo State may be disrupted from 8 a.m. tomorrow, January the 10th, as the Nigeria Medical Association threatens industrial action over the continued abduction of one of its members, Dr. Ibrahim Babatunde. The association says the action is meant to draw urgent attention to the safety of health workers as pressure mounts on security agencies to secure the doctor's release.
The Edo State chapter of the Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, says it will down tools on Saturday, the 10th of January 2026 from 8 a.m. if the rescue of his kidnapped member, Dr. Ibrahim Babatunde, who was kidnapped at Auchi, is not secured. The association says the incident has heightened fear and anxiety among medical professionals, calling for urgent action to ensure their safety.
8 a.m. tomorrow. If the other of our colleague who is still in the kidnapper, then it's not released on hot, no doctor in Edo State will be working. We all leave our places of work and all the security operatives responsible for the gap we are leaving behind as we leave our place of work. Because we are doctors, we are meant to save lives, treat people. We are not meant to look for our colleagues that are kidnapped. We are not meant to look for kidnappers. We are not meant to take charge of security. It's their job.
The Edo State Police Command has earlier confirmed that search and rescue efforts are ongoing, assuring that operations are being intensified.
Dr. Abu Ibrahim Babatunde and his younger brother, Abu Ibrahim Tahir, was kidnapped at Ibira camp along city gates in Auchi. So the divisional police officer immediately was deployed to that place in collaboration with the forest guards, vigilantes, and of course the community safety partnership volunteers in that area who know the terrain of those forests, because this forest is big. So they have been on aggressive rescue operation in the bush, and then unfortunately the body of the doctor's younger brother Tahir was discovered.
Meanwhile, the Edo State government insists it has invested profoundly in security, reiterating its commitment to the fight against kidnapping and other forms of criminalities in the state.
Our vigilante personnel are doing well. Those security corps members are doing well, and the governor has just concluded plans to commence the recruitment of 300 persons per local government that will be domiciled in those local governments and keep eye on all of them.
It is hoped that the rescue efforts will yield fruition as soon as possible. Osaze Obaze, Channels Television News.
And Justice Emmanuel Subelim of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria has issued an order restraining the National Association of Resident Doctors and its members from embarking on the strike they plan to commence on January 12th this year. Justice Subelim issued the order today, January the 9th, while ruling on a motion ex parte filed by the federal government of Nigeria and the Attorney General of the Federation. Justice Subelim gave the ruling after listening to the Director of Civil Litigation at the Federal Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Maimuna Shiru, who led a team of lawyers from the ministry and moved the motion ex parte. Listed as respondents to the motion and the defendants to the substantive suit are not its national president, Dr. Mohammed Suleiman, and the association's Secretary General, Dr. Shuaibu Ibrahim. Now, still ahead on the news at 10, federal government launches Nigeria House Davos to highlight national reforms and attract global investment at the 2026 World Economic Forum. That's on Business News. Who joins again? Welcome back to the news at 10. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arraigned an Austrian national, Kavlak Ono, before the Federal High Court in Lagos for allegedly failing to declare foreign currencies totaling over $800,000 and another 651,000 euros, valued at about 2.2 billion naira. EFCC prosecutor Bilikisu Buhari told Justice Yeli Mboguru that Ono was arrested at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, by officers of the Nigeria Customs Service Anti-Money Laundering Unit while in possession of the undeclared funds. Buhari said the two-count charge is punishable under Section 3, Subsection 5 of the Money Laundering Prohibition and Prevention Act 2022. Mr. Ono pleaded not guilty when the charge was read, prompting the prosecution to request a trial date and his remand pending trial. The Federal Ministry of Finance has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Niger State government and the Ministry of Finance Incorporated for a mass housing and agriculture settlement project tagged Sustainable Integrated Productive Communities. Speaking at the ceremony in Abuja, the Minister of State for Finance, Mrs. Doris Uzoka Anite, explains that the project will provide a structured, secure and well-planned housing settlement for farmers, strengthening agricultural value chains and improve livelihoods across Niger State.
The Minister of State for Finance is meeting with Governor Umaru Bago of Niger State and his entourage to commence a deal that will enhance agriculture in the state. The initiative is tagged Sustainable Integrated Productive Communities and aims at empowering youths and women and creating jobs in agriculture.
With the Federal Ministry of Finance serving as the anchor, this initiative benefits from strong policy coordination, financial credibility, and institutional oversight at the highest level. Housing, as we know, is a fundamental pillar of development. But in Niger State, housing also intersects directly with agriculture, food security, rural stability, and economic productivity.
Agriculture is the mainstay of Niger State's economy, with major crops including cotton, shea nuts, yams, millet, sorghum, rice, maize, cowpeas, cassava, groundnuts, and peanuts. According to data from the state government, the population in the state is estimated at 6.8 million as at 2022, with over 800,000 households involved in farming as at 2019. The data adds that the state has about 63 million square kilometers of arable land and an estimated 1.3 million hectares of the land is irrigable. However, only 328,251 hectares are under irrigation. The Sustainable Integrated Productive Communities Initiative targets 3.1 million households, focusing on climate-smart agriculture and innovative technologies. The project is expected to create over 30,000 jobs and entrepreneurial opportunities for youths, women, and vulnerable groups.
I came to pick the court.
The governor states that the agreement ties into the state government's comprehensive action plan to boost agricultural productivity, food security, and economic growth.
Because you have made infrastructure a very important subject in this discussion, we'll be working with the RAM to make sure that the rural access road that is supposed to be for rural dwellers will also be deployed in these farm estates.
The Memorandum of Understanding to officially launch the commencement of the SIPC is then launched. Sarah Chimugu reporting for Channels Television News.
And that's it from Abuja. It's now back to Aya for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you so much, Victoria. In Zamfara State, Governor Dauda Lawal has presented certificates to 50 scholarship students who graduated from Crescent University at Abeokuta after clearing all outstanding tuition fees owed by previous administrations. While making the presentation, the governor reaffirmed his administration's commitment to prioritizing education as a key pillar of development in the state.
Thank you very much.
It is a day of mixed feelings for 50 indigents of Zamfara State who were sponsored by the state government to study at Crescent University under the state scholarship scheme. Although the students successfully completed their programs 10 years ago, they were unable to collect their certificates owing to unsettled tuition fees owed to the university by successive administrations. The long wait finally ended as Governor Dauda Lawal cleared all outstanding fees, leading to the release of the certificates. One of the benefiting graduates relayed the impact of the delay on his career.
Your Excellency, also most of us graduate at the age of 25 years. But now after 10 years, we are 35 years old. But unfortunately, Your Excellency, no institution in Nigeria, including Zamfara State, that can offer a job to a graduate with a BSc at the age of 35 years.
In his remarks, Governor Dauda Lawal decries the prolonged withholding of the certificates while recommitting to prioritize education in the state.
The prolonged delay in releasing this certificate was purely an injustice, one that limits opportunities, constrain careers, and undermine the dignity of our graduates. This administration believes that government must keep faith with its promises, and we are determined to restore confidence in public institutions.
The governor also presented letters of appointment to 500 newly recruited teachers as part of efforts to improve the quality of education across the state.
This recruitment drive, one of the largest in our recent history, is a direct testament to his belief that quality education is the most powerful catalyst for sustainable development.
Governor Lawal reaffirmed his administration's unwavering commitment to education development through sustained investment, timely payment of scholarship obligations, recruitment of qualified teachers, and formulation of policies that will restore confidence in the state's education system.
As part of efforts to assess operational standards and infrastructure, the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Idi Abbas, has reaffirmed the Nigerian Navy's commitment to combating crime and ensuring safety on the nation's waterways. The Naval Chief gave assurances after an inspection of facilities at the Nigerian Navy Reference Hospital and other ongoing projects in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. Earlier, Vice Admiral Abbas paid a courtesy visit to the Cross River State Governor Basio II to deepen strategic partnerships.
I have been going around to various naval commands and units and formations, and basically I'm here to assess the operational capabilities of the Navy with a view to getting to know some of the critical challenges and by extension what needs to be prioritized towards achieving the mandate of the Nigerian Navy, which is the maritime security of the nation.
We have the greatest maritime assets that keeps Nigeria going in this particular sector of the country. Yes, there's need, quite all right, to build not just jetties, but also bases. Because like I told the CNS, anytime I'm going to the Cameroon border, before approaching, over 5 gunboats will immediately emerge. But our side is left like that because of some technical mistakes that were done sometime, which have highlighted to him that it has to be corrected. And Nigerian Navy has to show its presence there fully. I've already discussed with Mr. President about these issues, and that something must be done to make sure that our assets are well protected, both in terms of military and also in terms of economic sabotage.
Business News is up next with Dominic Iwiwo.
Thank you, Ayotunde. And on business news, the federal government has launched Nigeria House Davos ahead of the 56th World Economic Forum in Switzerland from January 19 to the 23rd. The initiative, Nigeria's first official national house on the Davos Promenade, will showcase the country's economic reforms, investment readiness, and cultural identity to a global audience. Nigeria House Davos, a public-private partnership with key ministries and private sector partners, aims to attract foreign investments, build strategic partnerships, and boost Nigeria's global economic profile. The venue will host ministerial talks, roundtables, and investment meetings on mining, trade, agriculture, energy, digital trade, and the creative economy, positioning Nigeria as a reform-driven economy open for partnerships. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, says no Nigerian will pay more under the new tax law. Speaking at a special tax lecture in Lagos, MAN's Director General Segun Ajayi Kadri explained that before the reforms, companies faced more than 33 different taxes, levies, and charges from various government agencies. The January 2026 law now streamlines the system, combining multiple levies into a single framework, removing nuisance taxes and creating a more business-friendly environment. MAN stresses it fully supports the reforms, which aim to ease compliance and encourage investment across the country.
I think what we should do is pay your tax, and then you'll be able to demand from government what they need to do. The tax provides that you are going to have information, a dashboard, while you'll be able to know what is coming to your local government. So you can go to your local government and your state and say, look, guy, you have earned this much, and you are expected to do this. So as people, we should not be helpless as citizens. For manufacturers, I can tell you straight away, most of the challenges we are facing are being addressed in these laws that we have. Most of our members are SMIs, and so they won't have to pay withholding tax, VAT, and I think that is fantastic. Now, manufacturers are taxpayers. So the people that are quarreling with this thing are people who have been evading tax, and they are useless. Nigeria must make people pay. If you are richer, you pay more. If you are a medium scale, there's no Nigerian who has been paying his tax that will pay more than he paid in 2025, in 2026.
World food prices fell again in December, easing pressure on households, according to the United Nations reports. The UN Food Price Index dropped 0.8%, led by lower dairy, meat, and vegetable oil prices. Overall, the index is 2.3% below last year and over 22% under its March 2022 peak. Not all prices eased, however. Cereal costs rose 1.7% amid Black Sea export concerns, while sugar climbed 2.4%. Following weaker production in Brazil. And it's a back-to-back record hit as the NGX hits the all-share rose nearly 1% today. Willie Bong tells us more.
Welcome to the stock market report. The market gained 1 trillion naira today. Oh well, I think nearly 1 trillion naira today, because to be exact, it was 953 billion naira that markets gained. And this is coming on the back of the OECD ranking yesterday for African stock markets. Nigeria ranked 3rd for a number of companies listed on the NGX. And we also saw the commendation from President Bola Tinubu about the 100 trillion naira milestone that the NGX crossed, and that then boosted the market. We see the ASI up today, nearly 1%, 0.93%, to hit 162,000 points, and that's a milestone, a new one for the NGX. And the market cap also at 103.775 trillion naira, another milestone hit. That's a fresh high. Now, market mover, let's look at one of the stocks that moved the market today. MTN Nigeria opened at 511 naira and closed at 550 naira. That's about 39 naira gained in terms of value. Huge one for investors. Going to the bank, smiling. Now, let's look at sectoral performance and see how the overall performance influence pushed the index up today. Banking, however, was down 0.13%, and this is on the back of profit taking in First Holdco and UBA. Consumer goods, however, we see that up 0.2%, and that's from Dangote Sugar and Unilever doing the thing there. Oil and gas is down, and we know the culprits there: Japan Gold, O&O cannot be left out, and Turner as well. And these are what we're looking at. But market watchers will definitely be keeping an eye on what the CBN is going to be doing, especially keeping elevated yields for OMO markets and also inflation data that's going to be coming out next week from the MBS. And that's the stock market reports. Will Ibon signing out.
Thank you, Will. Let's see the snapshot of closing numbers for other major global equities. And that's it on business news. Back to Ayatunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Dominic. At least 48 people have been killed in Iran as anti-government protests enter the 13th day. Here's Simon Hughes with more on this and other international news and around the world in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. More anti-government protests have erupted in Iran for a 13th day in a row as the country's supreme leader lashes out at people demonstrating on the streets. Videos show huge crowds of protesters marching through Iran's capital and other cities in what are thought to be the largest show of force by opponents of the clerical establishment in years. Later, a monitoring group reported a nationwide internet blackout. Ali Khamenei, who has ultimate power in Iran, dismissed the protests as a bunch of vandals trying to please US President Donald Trump, who threatened to hit Iran very hard if government forces killed protesters. The protests, which began in Tehran on the 28th of December, were sparked by the collapse of the Iranian currency. Reza Pahlavi, the exiled son of Iran's former late Shah, has called on US President Donald Trump to be prepared to intervene to help the people of Iran. One of the co-owners of the Swiss bar where 40 people died in a fire on New Year's Eve has been detained. Swiss prosecutors said that Jacques Moretti, a French national, was a potential flight risk. The blaze at Le Constellation bar in Crans-Montana left 116 people injured. Many of the victims were under age 20. It emerged this week that the bar in the ski resort had not undergone safety checks for 5 years. The decision to detain Jacques Moretti came after he and his wife, Jessica, who own the bar together, were on Friday questioned by prosecutors in the Swiss village. People have taken to the streets of Minneapolis and other cities for a second night to protest against the killing of the 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good, who was shot in her car by a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent. Demonstrators marched in Houston, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia and other cities with placards calling for the abolition of ICE. People laid floral tributes where Good's car crashed after the shooting, just blocks away from where George Floyd was killed in 2020, sparking weeks of nationwide protests. U.S. forces have seized another tanker in the Caribbean Sea, according to officials, as the Trump administration continues its efforts to control exports of Venezuelan oil. The tanker, the Olina, is on multiple countries' sanctions lists and the 5th vessel to be seized by the U.S. in recent weeks. The U.S. is using the seizures to pressure Venezuela's interim government and remove the so-called dark fleet of tankers from service. Officials say this fleet consists of more than 1,000 vessels that transport sanctioned and illicit oil. Russia has used the Oreshnik ballistic missile as part of a massive overnight strike on Ukraine. 4 people were killed and 25 others injured in Kyiv, where loud booms could be heard for several hours, setting the sky alight with explosions. It is only the second time that Moscow has used the Oreshnik, which was first deployed to hit the central city of Dnipro in November 2024. Russia's defense ministry said the strike was in response to a Ukrainian drone attack targeting Vladimir Putin's residence in late December, which Kyiv denies carrying out. Authorities have said a mountain of rubbish has collapsed at a landfill in the central Philippines on Thursday, killing a 22-year-old woman and leaving more than 30 people missing. Rescuers pulled 12 injured sanitation workers from debris at the landfill in Cebu City, who were later hospitalized. Many of the missing are believed to be workers at the landfill. The mayor of Cebu said it may be difficult to reach survivors because of the potential for further collapse. The cause of the collapse is still unclear, but it is thought to be the result of poor waste management practices. And the Princess of Wales has marked her 44th birthday with a personal video on social media about the healing power of nature and the seasons.
Even in the coldest, darkest season, winter has a way of bringing us stillness.
This is the concluding video in a 4-part series which has seen Catherine reflecting on the importance of nature to her at a time which she has been recovering after cancer treatment. The video series, which began in the spring, has carried Catherine's personal and poetic thoughts on the positive impact of the natural world over images of the changing seasons.
I find myself reflecting on how deeply grateful I am. For the rivers within us flow with ease. Fears washed away. Cleanse and purify.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. Senegal have become the first team to book their place in the semi-finals of this year's the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations after they defeated the Eagles of Mali 1-0 at the Tanger Grand Stadium earlier today. Recalled striker Iliman Ndiaye scored the only goal in the 27th minute to give the Teranga Lions the win over 10-man Mali. Mali's hopes were dealt a severe blow in the first half added time when Yves Bissouma, the skipper, was sent off after being shown a second yellow card. Senegal will face either Egypt or Côte d'Ivoire, who meet in Agadir on Saturday night in the first semi-final set for Tanger on Wednesday, January the 14th. Brahim Diaz kept up his remarkable Africa Cup of Nations scoring record, and Ismail Sabari was also on target as host Morocco beat Cameroon 2-0 in their quarter-final showdown this evening to keep their title dreams alive. Real Madrid winger Diaz got the decisive touch to Ayoub El Kabi's 26th-minute header in front of more than 64,000 fans at the Prince Moulay Abdallah Stadium in the capital Rabat. Diaz's 5th goal in 5 matches at the tournament was followed by Sabari's strike in the second half, with Morocco well worth their victory as they progressed to a semi-final against the winner of Saturday's clash between the Desert Foxes of Algeria and the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Meanwhile, Nigeria Super Eagles head coach Eric Schell has emphasized the importance of maintaining consistency at the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations as they prepare to take on Algeria in the quarterfinals at the Marrakesh Stadium on Saturday. The 3-time African champions have won their opening 4 games, scoring the most goals, 12, but have only kept 1 clean sheet so far. Forward Moses Simon says the team is not on a revenge mission against the Algerians, who denied them a spot in the African Cup of Nations final back in 2019. Flip side, Algeria skipper Riyad Mahrez says the team will give everything for the country in the quarterfinal showdown against Nigeria in Marrakesh. Mahrez has scored 3 goals in the tournament so far and is hoping the Desert Foxes campaign in the tournament continues beyond Saturday. He scored the winner when Algeria beat the Super Eagles of Nigeria in the semi-final en route to winning the AFCON in 2019. On the club football now, Bukayo Saka has agreed a new long-term contract with Arsenal Football Club. Reports across England indicates the new contract will see the 24-year-old become one of the club's highest paid players. The agreement is the latest example of Arsenal tying down their key stars or key players to long-term contracts as they look to keep their title-chasing squad together. Saka, whose previous deal was due to expire in June of 2027, is now finalizing a new and improved package until the year 2031. And the main news again. INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amokweton today announced that the Commission is taking steps to strengthen its operations in preparation for the 2027 general elections. He was speaking at the retreat for senior members of the Commission in Lagos. Vice President Kashim Shettima has assured that the federal government remains committed to empowering the military to effectively tackle security challenges across the country. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Do have a good night.